I heard you call yourself the worst and that you hated everything and you hated this life. Can you tell me what's going on? I threw the ball and it hit the picture and then it broke everywhere and I didn't mean to and I'm the worst and I have the worst arm and I can't throw and I hate this day. It sounds like you're having a really hard time because you threw the ball and you broke a picture frame. Sometimes I make mistakes too and things end up broken, or I spill stuff, or I hurt people's feelings. Really? No, you don't. I do. Remember yesterday when I was pouring the glass of milk and I accidentally bumped it with my elbow and it fell on the ground and shattered everywhere, and then there was glass and milk and everything I had to clean up? Everybody makes mistakes, and sometimes things or people get hurt. All humans make mistakes, including me and your friends and even other adults that you know. It sounds like this was one of those times. It was. I made a mistake and I broke it. So now what do we do if we make a mistake? How can we make it right? So at this point, your kiddo could say a whole lot of things like, I don't know, or they could come up with a solution on their own depending on what the mistake actually was. So what I want you to hold on to is if the mistake is that we hurt somebody else with our actions, what's important is that we make it right. We take responsibility, right? Like, I hurt them, I can go check on them. Or how can we make it right with them? How can we check on them and help them feel better? Okay. The other one is if it's a mistake and something is broken or something happens, then how can we make it right? Especially when children, I would say 7 and up, can definitely collaborate with you in deciding a fair consequence or making things right. You are supporting their critical thinking and problem solving skills, and also building that emotional resiliency and that flexibility to come back from making mistakes. I want to emphasize that I use something called third person, third place, historical parallel, or examples from my own life. I model that I'm an adult and I make mistakes too, and so do other people in our lives. And the more that you can model that for yourself and how you're able to cope through it and work through it and make it right, the easier it is for your children to do that also, because they've seen an example of how it's done. So use an example from your life, or use an example from someone else that they know, or you can make up an example of a kid their age that did something similar and this is how they worked through it. All those are going to be really good examples to model for your children to be able to develop those skills and to not sink into that negative feedback loop. All humans make mistakes. We all have room to grow, and I make them all the time. Doesn't make me a bad person, just means that I'm learning. For more tips like this, please be sure to check out our Responsive Parenting Your Neurodivergent Child video series. It could be really helpful.